Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi. Now today we have information on the ICT Achievers Awards. Digital terrestrial television has started in the Northern Cape province of South Africa. We have information on that. The taxi hailing service Uber has launched in South Africa. We'll discuss the GovTech conference which is underway in Johannesburg at the moment. You can always find us on SABC Network. That's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can go to our Twitter poll where we ask whether you know what digital terrestrial television is. And it's News Network at SABC.co.za and email. Let's start with your technology and social media news. Now, the ICT Achievers Awards took place in Johannesburg a few days ago. Winners range from education solutions to the South African internet pioneer. Techies were treated to an evening of glitz in Marlborough in Johannesburg. Now, we all use the internet at one point or another, so it was no surprise that this year's Lifetime Achievement Award winner at the South African ICT Achievers Awards was South African internet pioneer Michael A. Mallory. Geek Culture, who do a lot of work in educating township and rural kids on how to code, received the local ICT Industrialization Award.
We are a platform for ICT students. We create and enable platforms for innovation and creativity. We've created a platform of 9,000 students across the country, here in Gauteng, the Northern Cape and Mpumalanga.
The man who runs the city of Johannesburg's social media pages, Tumelo Komape, received the Future ICT Leader Award.
I think it means that I've done something towards creating accessibility, using accessibility of information, using technology.
The Woman in ICT Award went to Charmaine Huawei, who feels women in tech aren't given enough recognition.
Women like me are partly to blame because I think we're activists, but we're activists in the background. A lot of what we do, we're often not vocal, we don't go out there, and we're not as public as we should be.
The Go Metro app and the ITSI School Project shared the ICT Innovator Award. The top ICT SMME was a township initiative to give tech labs to underprivileged communities, the Siyafunda Community Technology Center.
One immediate success story I can tell you now is that Babalwa, we call her Princess, she knew absolutely nothing about computers. She started in Tembisa at the Disability Yoga Center. She had passion for training. She set up her own facility in Ivory Park. And then when she went home to KZN, to the village in Zululand, over a December period, the chiefs and the leaders engaged with her to say, what you're doing in Joburg. She gave all the good stories of technology. And when she came back in January to say that, look, there's a need in our communities, and she was prepared to relocate. And so she relocated, and today she's working in about 30 villages in KZN and taking technology access, skills development, education to communities using technology.
Event partners feel some of the winners here will be household names in the tech space in future.
I'm almost sure that we'll look back on a night like this, look at the program and say, I was there when these guys got their awards, and look how big they are now.
Ambassador Sonwabo Funde was given special recognition for the work he's done in the ICT sector. Now, digital terrestrial television has launched in the Northern Cape province of South Africa. This happens over a year after the DTT international deadline. Full migration will open up the spectrum to be used by network providers.
The recent switch from analog to digital broadcast in some SKA regions made headlines this week. So we at Network decided to run a poll on Twitter asking tweeps if they know what DTT is. And so far, it seems that most of the participants in this poll still aren't clued up on this highly talked about digital terrestrial television migration. MCM Digital Media's Dimitri Martins gives us a brief definition of this DTT.
Digital terrestrial television. It's one of the ways in which television can be delivered to our viewers. The other one is satellite, and the third is via cable. Now, at the moment, we use analog as a means of doing our broadcasting. That way of doing broadcasting is actually not very efficient in the way it uses the airwaves. or what we sometimes refer to as the radio frequency spectrum.
In 2006, the International Telecommunications Union made an agreement with more than 100 countries to stop broadcasting television signals in analog format and move to one of the new digital standards. The ITU then set the cut-off date for this digital migration to June 2015, a deadline that South Africa still hasn't adhered to. In an interview with Morning Live in 2014, the then Department of Communications Interim Minister Yunus Karim discussed South Africa's delay in this digital transformation.
In the last 2 years, if not more, it's really government's been clear about what it wants. It's the broadcasters and manufacturers that have been feuding right up till this very moment. Now, we are very clear that what we've done in Cabinet, and let me stress, despite what's been said in an advert on Sunday, it's not my personal subjective decision. It was there in Cabinet, as you reported. In 2008, it was tweaked by my predecessor in 2012, but it's government policy consistent with our broad-based black economic policies, job creation, protection of our local electronics industry, and so on. Now, we're ready to move, and we're pleading with the broadcasters even at this last hour. Why don't they come to agreement? But if they don't, government has to govern, and we have to move forward.
In 2016, the Department of Communications on Friday, October 29th, started the DTT migration process. Communications, Faith Mutami, wow! Only the switching off of analog broadcasting occurred in some communities surrounded by the Square Kilometre Array, otherwise known as the SKA, in the Northern Cape.
We need to liberate our people from being misfed, and then it's all about local content, South Africans telling their story. Now with multiplicity of channels, that is going to be possible. I want to see the people of the Northern Cape doing their things in television. I want stories of people in the Karoo, their stories being told in television. That's basically what it's all about.
The aspiration of having an increase in local content is well and good, but the question is, how long will it take for the rest of South Africa to migrate to digital terrestrial television, as we missed the switch-off deadline by more than a year?
Now, how many times have you looked for your favorite African song online and found that no online store carries it? Huawei is planning a cloud service that wants to provide all kinds of African content so it can be shared by music download stores with their customers. The service has launched in Nigeria. South Africa is next. A lot of people who look for African content online often struggle to find exactly what they're looking for. This leads to some turning to piracy in order to get their favorite music, television shows and movies. Huawei says their InTouch solution is trying to help in that regard. It stores the content in its in-cloud, and then those with online music stores such as network providers can find it on their systems to make it available to the consumer. It's being used in Nigeria.
From December 2014 till now, we've been able to get about 3.2 million paid users. We have over 200,000 local content, and artists are willing to work with us even without even going to them. But because in the beginning, our challenges were try to get the artists, convince the local content providers to work with us. But now, the uptake, because they're getting we've paid over $5 million US dollars to the artists and the content providers, so they see that it's very, 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 a huge success of the platform.
Now Huawei is negotiating with content providers in South Africa.
We think that the Music Plus platform will provide us with exciting African-specific business opportunities.
Huawei says if everything goes according to plan, this service should launch in South Africa before the end of the year. Twitter's cancelling its video sharing app Vine, and Ghanaians finally get to experience using taxi hailing app Uber. These are just some of the stories that made tech news in the last week.
Uber has landed in Ghana. The cab-hailing service recently launched operation in the West African country's capital, Accra, as part of expansion plans across Africa. The company also wants to convince traditional taxi drivers to work with them and avoid a repeat of problems faced elsewhere, where friction with other taxi drivers who see Uber as a threat to their business sparked protests.
We're very excited by the demand that we've seen. It's been some of the strongest demand that we've seen across sort of markets in Europe, Middle East and Africa. There's been a very real, very organic demand. the drivers that we've seen, the job opportunities that we've created. So we have, we're looking at creating over 1,000 job opportunities by the end of the year.
Uber operates in over 60 countries worldwide and is worth about $40 billion US. Still in Africa, Senegal launches 20 megawatt solar plant, one of the largest in sub-Saharan Africa.
The problem of electricity in Senegal is a problem of lack of supply of electricity. That is to say that the demand is higher than supply. However, this demand that is higher than supply is also an indication of something else. It is the rate of urbanization and industrialization in Senegal that causes a regular increase in electricity demand every year. But now, the government is making great efforts to fill this gap.
Now moving over to the US of A. Twitter announced Thursday that it would discontinue the video sharing mobile app Vine as it moves to cut 9% of its workforce worldwide to keep costs down after beating Wall Street quarterly earnings expectations. The decision comes on the heels of a failed attempt to sell Twitter as it fights against stagnant user growth and mounting competition from other social media platforms. While Twitter is discontinuing Vine, Microsoft launches update to the Windows operating system that lets users edit content in 3 dimensions and reveals an all-in-one desktop computer, the Surface Studio, with a touchscreen that can serve as a front-facing monitor or a Surface tablet.
With Surface, we're creating a new category that transforms your desk into a creative studio. A tool for creation, connection, and expression. We're also bringing together Windows with Office, Windows with gaming, all as cloud-connected, AI-enhanced, trusted experiences that span all your devices.
Microsoft's update targets gamers in particular who are keen on using new virtual reality headsets and have been turned on to augmented reality games since the July launch of hit mobile app Pokemon Go.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. After the break, we chat about GovTech. Stay with us.
Lurks greatness, bravery, guts, determination. Every time you get down, you get back up. You take us all forward. You raise the bar. And we salute you, party comrade, with a Heineken Cool Can and Strongbow Apple Cider 6-pack combo for just 100 Rand from Tops at Spa.
A presumed U.S. drone strike in the south of the country has killed 3 Al-Qaeda suspects.
Death toll in Yemen's 18-month-old civil war now stands at about 10,000.
People get killed or die and are actually buried before they're recorded. And we don't have a way of recording that, but we know the numbers are much higher.
Water restrictions are to be imposed on villages in and around the Nkomazi municipality.
Pumps can't pump the water because there's no water in a river. And if the water is coming back, then it's full of mud.
Those who can pray and those who can do any miracle to make sure that we've got enough rain, give it a try.
Welcome back. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, the GovTech event is underway in Johannesburg. This year's theme is ICT for Development, Access and Growth. Public Service ICT Awards are now held every year at the end of GovTech. Now, joining me to talk about the conference is Dr. Daniel Mashao. Hello and welcome, and thank you for being a part of our network.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Yes. Now, could you just tell us what GovTech actually is?
GovTech is a premier conference
that is bringing stakeholders from government, from industry, and from SITA. SITA, as a state IT agency, is responsible for all IT in government, and we use GovTech to bring all the stakeholders for a meeting to discuss.
Why is it important to bring all government stakeholders?
Well, we don't usually have chance and time to do that, but during this time of the year, when we have 3 days where we talk about GovTech, where we talk about technology, what it's doing, and what does it mean in terms of the public service.
And maybe if we can just highlight some of the examples where technology is used in terms of, or in order to ease the work that's done by government employees.
Yeah, as you know, this year you have been talking about Uber, for example, what it means. Now, technology is changing, and we as SITA, our purpose is to improve service delivery using technology. Technology is changing, is bringing in new business models. For example, if you look at Uber, Uber is it's a taxi service that is able to create a taxi service without actually owning taxis. Now, if you look at that concept, it's a business model concept, which is very interesting for government, because the questions we can ask ourselves, can government do that? Can government offer services without having to own the assets of doing service? Now, so technology is bringing those interesting questions like what new disruptive business models and
And in terms of innovation, how innovative is government, and how easily does government adopt new technologies?
We do adopt new technologies.
You adopt them, but how easily do you do
There's
it?
always a challenge, yeah, because you know, the innovations are great, but they sometimes impact on the way you do your business, and you therefore need to adjust not only to the innovation, but to the way you do your business. They are bringing, if you look at Bitcoins is bringing blockchains, and the biggest part of blockchains is an issue of trust, you know, or even Uber itself is an issue of trust. It's not like we didn't have taxis before. We did have them before, but now here is a new business where trust now is being expressed using technology. If you look at Airbnb, you know, where people are allowing other people to come and sleep in their houses, becoming like a hotel, again, is an issue of trust. Now, why would you do that? Well, you do that because you trust me. And why do you trust me? You trust me because you can have my ratings. You can see how I've done it before. For Uber, you would have been able to have ratings that other people have done on me to say, this is a great driver, he does this, 1, 2, 3. So the issue of trust coming into government via technology is actually very exciting, and we will be able to see some of
It's fascinating that you're talking about things such as blockchain, for example. So will we ever in the near future see government, and that's in the near future, and I'm not talking about in 10 years' time, see government adopting some of these new technologies that a lot of private players are already playing around with?
The South African Reserve Bank is looking into that. I would expect in the next 2-3 years they will be bringing products on blockchains. It's not entirely new, but it's just a new way it's been combined using pretty good privacy and using BitTorrent technology. So,
yeah. Now, I am not sure how much you know about the program that's coming up this week. Who are some of the key speakers going to be, or what's going to be discussed?
Yeah, there's going to be, this GovTech, we have it annually. This year, what is going to be very different about this year is that we are emphasizing the T in technology. So we'll be talking more about the general program, but also about technology. What does it mean? So there's going to be very interesting speakers. We have Bruno Lavin from the World Economic Forum, part of the guys who are writing the report on what is happening technologically in different countries and so on. So that's going to be exciting. We do have, we will have the Uber competitor in South Africa, Comitex, that is at a conference. So there's going to be very exciting speakers.
And why is it important for you to have the South African competitor in that space when there are international players as well?
Yeah, but you can't limit innovation. And there are some things that are so specific about us that when we do them, they become different just because they're being done in a different context.
There are also awards that take place at the end of GovTech. In fact, they started in 2015. Tell us about those.
The awards, yes, we have 7 awards this year. Those will be annual awards that we want to recognize ICT achievers in the country, especially in the public service. You know, our mandate as SITA is to improve public service using ICT. So we want to see how other people have used ICT to improve public service.
All right, sure. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. That is Dr. Daniel Mashau from GovTech. Thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Now, this week we caught up with Nigerian singer Praise, and he told us what his favorite piece of technology is.
Baby, you want me to. I'm ready to do the things you want.
Hi people, my name is Praise, you already know, aka Mr. Rich and famous from Nigeria. My favorite technological piece is my phone, definitely, because I'm always with my phone. I have, it's easier for me to connect with my fans with my phone via Instagram, Twitter, and I mean, we're in an age of social media, so yeah, my phone is it.
I wanna lay inside you, you know I deserve you.
Keeping you up to date with business developments.
There's no shortage of money in the system. There's a shortage of implementation capacity to actually get things done.
Always on point with news of the day.
May has promised radical social and economic reforms, fueling speculation over the future of current senior figures.
On the ball every time with all sports codes.
The Joburg side already have a quarter-final at home, and a victory against the Argentines will ensure home semi-final.
Accurate weather updates after every bulletin. Stay tuned to News Today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
Okay. Right, welcome back and thank you for being a part of our network tonight. Now, October is Transfers Month in South Africa. This week, we looked at one piece of tech that can save lives on the roads.
South Africa has one of the highest road fatalities in the continent, with most of the blame going to the driver's behavior. Discovery Insurance has a device called DQ Track, which works in conjunction with an app. The geo monitors the driver's patterns and behavior while acting like a black box would in an aeroplane.
It's a black box. It gathers data as you drive. So we always speak about APCs, things like acceleration, braking, cornering, and speeding. That's the information that we gather. But of course, with the introduction of mobile technologies, we've included the element of phone usage while you're driving, because we've picked up over the years, and there's even lots of evidence to show that when you're texting and driving, or when you're using your phone while you're driving, you get distracted, and it leads to more crashes and unnecessary fatalities, which can be avoided.
Hopefully, with such devices, drivers will adjust their behavior on the roads.
Now let's see what some people have been sharing on social media. The AKA and Casper Nyovest hug has been a major chatting point. It was at Casper Nyovest Fill-Up Orlando Stadium event. Fans have been surprised by the hug, as the two have been foes. In Kenya, as was the case in most countries, Diwali was a big celebration on social media. In Nigeria, there's the entertainment event called A Beat of Lagos. 6 days to the Beat of Lagos was the chatting point there. Now, this week on Twitter, we asked you whether you know what digital terrestrial television is. Let's see what people said on social media on this one. It seems most people do know what DTT is, and second to that are people asking us what that is. In third place are people who say no, they do not know what digital terrestrial television is. Keep on voting. We still have a couple of more hours left for that. Now, that's all we have for you. We leave you with visuals of a drones competition in Argentina. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. From Ms. Pumelele Zondi and the rest of the team, have a good one. Bye-bye.